welcome to Envision. I'm Deanne Conrad with Community Relations at the Sioux Falls School District. Dr. Brian Maher is our superintendent, and I've heard you mention many times in the last year and few months that you've been here about your passion for early learning and preschool. A lot of families are making transitions, maybe thinking about getting their child into a preschool program. Why is that such a passion for you?
That's a good question. I think it's kind of evolved throughout my career. I started my career off as a high school math and physics teacher. So at that point in time, math and physics at the high school level was the center of my academic universe. And if kids could just have math and physics in high school, they would be able to do well throughout life. But as my own education evolved, so did my thinking on the thought process of what kids need for success. And what they need is a good start. Mm-hmm. What we find so many times is that the kids who are behind in high school are kids who started off behind when they came to us as kindergartners. Mm-hmm. So it's really important to have that good foundation when you come to school, to be prepared when you come to school. And that's just outside the scope of what we can have a big impact on as a K-12 school district. So we really rely on community partners and so forth in that area.
Absolutely, and the district a couple of years ago started Learning Adventures Preschool because a lot of families that were moving here for jobs from other parts of the country would say, "What? You don't have a preschool connected to your K-12 system?" Well, we do have early childhood, which serves a whole lot of students, around 1,000 to 1,100 students, but still so many of them are on the waiting list. And beyond that, people who want those experiences for their children and maybe want them to get comfortable in a traditional school setting already as 4- and 5-year-olds. We started that program and that's been growing.
Love what we do. We have the targeted preschool, as you mentioned, and many of those students enrolled there are students who have a special reason to be in that program. We have the Learning Adventures Preschool as well, which targets a different audience and serves our community. But even beyond that, we've got a number of providers throughout our community who help those kids in those birth to 5 years, which are so critical to their academic success forever.
Right.
And I can't emphasize enough how important those years are, and I can't thank our community enough for all they do to make sure that our kids are ready by the time they're 5 years old, by the time they go to kindergarten.
Right.
And that still is a big task for our community, and certainly a task we're interested in as a school district.
Absolutely. Not everyone can work it out with schedules, or maybe it's cost prohibitive, or maybe they're on that waiting list for early childhood. What are just some basic things parents can do to sort of maybe draw out those experiences that they, if they're not going to a preschool, what they might draw out and provide for their child, even if they're not going to preschool?
Read,
right?
Play, read.
Sure.
Really, I think anybody knows the answer to that. But it takes a little time. It takes a little time to sit down and read with your child. It takes a little time to play with your child. And that play is important, whether that's playing catch, or whether that's playing dolls, or whether that's playing in the sandbox. Just the play and letting the mind inquire as to what sand feels like, or what water feels like, or what motor skills are involved with catching a ball. Those things that really should be fun between a parent and a child are just critical, but they take time. And we get so busy, all of us do. I do, everybody does, that sometimes we don't take that time. But it's so critical to the academic nurturing of that child. So it's reading, and playing, and a whole lot of just fun things for kids until they get to school.
Right.
It should be fun after they get to school too.
Of course it should. But that reading is so critical, and even if you're out and about in the community, maybe it's not it'd be great if it was a sit-down 20 minutes devoted every single night, but if that's not something you can pull off, there's still other ways that you can be reading or directing, and look at the letter A up on that sign right now, or can you find the letter Z in this in the newspaper or something like that, and helping them draw those things out and just encouraging that inquiry, as you said.
My own kids, I have 3 kids, my own kids were all very, very good math students. And
Go figure.
And I contend it was because we went to so many ball games when they were little.
Oh, sure.
So they knew from volleyball how to go one by one.
Sure.
And then the difference between their score and the opponent's score,
Sure.
or our team's score and the opponent's score. And we did a lot of basketball.
Sure.
So adding by 2s and 3s, 1s, 2s, and 3s.
Right.
And again, the difference in the score and how many 2s would we need to make up, and just those fun things that were fun to experience with your kids, going to ball games or watching ball games on TVs. There was just a heck of a math lesson
Absolutely.
in there as well. So I think anything can be a learning opportunity, whether it's driving and playing some of those car games to get rid of the monotony, and that could be a 5-minute drive downtown and back home, or it could be a cross-country road trip. It really could be anything that, as a parent, that you can do to help the inquiry-based mind of your own child.
And that's free.
That's free.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us today on Envision.